Important pointers. From Database Management HTML Questions for Joa-It Exam. Important for Joa-It Exam and other Commission exams.
Presented by Commission Corner. Like, share and subscribe for more such daily updates. It takes a lot of efforts, make it worth by helping us grow.
Database Management Questions and Answers. 1. What is full form of Dbms? A. Database Manual System. B. Database Management Structure. C. Database Management System. D. Database Merging System. 2. Software designed to store, retrieve, define, and manage data in database is called A. Database. B. File Allocation System. C. Management Allocation System. D. Data Retrieve System. 3. What is full form of FAT? A. File Archive Tree. B. File Allocation Table. C. File Allocation Transfer. D. None of these. 4. A logical data structure with one-to-many relationships is A. Network. B. Chain. C. Tree. D. All the above. 5. A large store of data accumulated from a wide range of sources is called A. Data management. 2. Data warehouse. 3. Data mining. 4. None of these. 6. Which database handles full text data, image, audio and video? A. Graphic database. B. Multimedia database. C. Transaction database. D. Video on-demand database. 7. Adding, changing, and deleting file records is called A. Updating. B. Upgrading. C. Renewing. D. Reconstructing. 8. The level of data abstraction which describes how the data is stored is A. Conceptual level. B. Logical level. C. Physical level. D. File level. 9. Computer manipulate data in many ways. Its manipulation is called A. Storing. B. Compiling. C. File handling. D. Processing. 10. The information stored in the catalog of a database is called A. Distributed data. B. Raw data. C. Encapsulated data. D. Metadata. 11. What is full form of SQL? A. Structure query list. B. Structure query language. C. Sample query language. D. None of these. 12. Which statement is using to delete all rows in a table without having the action logged? A. Delete. B. Remove. C. Truncate. D. Drop. 13. SQL views also known as A. Virtual tables. B. Complex table. C. Simple table. D. Actual table. 14. How many primary keys can have in a table? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. Depends upon rows. D. Depend upon tables. 15. Which SQL statement is used to extract data from a database? A. Open. B. Select. C. Extract. D. Get. 16. Which SQL statement is used to add new data in database? A. Select. B. Update. C. Insert. D. None of the above. 17. Which SQL statement is used to update the data of an existing table in database? A. Insert. B. Update. C. Extract. D. Delete. 18. Which SQL statement is used to delete data from database? A. Open. B. Select. C. Extract. D. Delete. 19. Which key is not a type of constraint in SQL language? A. Foreign key. B. Unique key. C. Alternate key. D. Primary key. 20. Which SQL function is used to count the number of rows in SQL query? A. Count. B. Number. C. Add. D. Sum. HTML questions and answers. 1. HTML frame tag specifies A. An inline frame. B. Used to display a web page within a web page. C. Both A and B. D. Makes HTML pages more dynamic and interactive. 2. Which value is used to remove the border around the frame? A. Border, none. B. Border, no. C. Border, clear. D. None of these. 3. JavaScript makes HTML pages. A. Static and interactive. B. More dynamic and interactive. C. More beautiful and interactive. D. Regular and absolute. 4. HTML script tag is used to define A. A client-side script. B. JavaScript. C. The script of the website. D. Both A and B. 5. JavaScript common uses in HTML are A. Image manipulation. B. Dynamic changes in content. C. Form validation. D. All of these. 6. HTML script tag defines A. An alternate content to be displayed to users that have disabled scripts in their browser. B. Have a browser that doesn't support scripts. C. Both A and B. D. None of these. 7. What a file path describes in a website's folder structure? A. The location of a file. B. The location of a page. C. The location of site URL. D. None of these. 8. Where our file paths are used when linking to external files. A. Web pages. B. Images. C. Style sheets, JavaScripts. D. All of these. 9. An absolute file path is A. The full URL to a file. B. File relative to the current page. C. The images folder located at the root of the current web. D. All of these. 10. Relative file paths to A. A. File relative to the current page. B. File relative to another page. C. File relative to another website. D. None of these. 11. Head element is a container for metadata and is placed between A. Between HTML and body tag. B. Between body and /body tag. C. Between title tag. D. None of these. 12. HTML head element is a container. A. Title, style. B. Meta, link. C. Script, base. D. All of these. 13. What is correct about the title element? A. Defines a title in the browser toolbar. B. Displays a title for the page in search engine results. C. Provides a title for the page when it is added to favorites. D. All of these. 14. Link element defines A. The relationship between the current document and an external resource. B. The relationship between the current document and an internal resource. C. the relationship between the current website and its pages. D. None of these. 15. Why meta element is used? A. To specify the character set. B. To specify the page description. C. To specify the keywords, author of the document, viewport settings. D. All of these. 16. Base element specifies. A. The base URL and / or target for all relative URLs in a page. B. Container for metadata. C. Client-side JavaScripts. D. All of these. 17. Header defines. A. Navigation links. This option defines for nav tag. B. A section in a document. This option for section tag. C. Content aside from the content. This option for aside tag. D. The header for a document or a section. 18. Footer defines. A. Footer for a document or a section. B. Additional details that the user can open and close on demand. This option defines detail element. C. A heading for the details element. This option defines summary element. D. None of these. 19. What is HTML responsive web design? A. HTML and CSS to automatically resize, hide, a website, to make it look good on all devices. B. HTML and CSS to automatically shrink, or enlarge, a website, to make it look good on all devices. C. Both A and B. D. None of these. 20. In HTML computer programming code, if code x equals 5, y equals 6, z equals x plus y / code. How browser show it? A. X equals 5, y equals 6, z equals x plus y. B. X equals 5, y equals 6. C. 11. D. None of these. 21. Which HTML element is used to define keyboard input? A. KBD. B. KDB. C. Keybed. D. None of these. 22. Which HTML element is used to define a piece of computer code? A. Code. B. HTML. C. Body. D. All of these. 23. Which element defines a variable in programming or in a mathematical expression? A. Var. B. Var. C. Var. D. Both A and B. 24. A footer element typically contains A. Authorship information, copyright information. B. Contact information, sitemap. C. Back to top links, related documents. D. All of these. 25. Which entities are used to display reserved characters in HTML? A. Character entities. B. Users entities. C. Both A and B. D. None of these. 26. What is the full form of URL? A. Uniform Resource Locator. B. Uniform Resource Location. C. Uniform Renowned Location. D. None of these. 27. Which HTML element is used to create an HTML form for user input? A. Form. B. Form. C. Level. D. None of these. 28. What input is given to display a radio button? A. Input type equals radio. B. Input type equals checkbox, displays a checkbox. C. Input type equals submit, displays a submit button. D. Input type equals button, displays a clickable button. 29. which attribute defines the action to be performed when the form is submitted? A. Action. B. Form. C. Level. D. Input. 30. What is true about get method? A. Appends the form data to the URL, in name/value pairs. B. The length of a URL is limited. C. Useful for form submissions where a user wants to bookmark the result. D. All of these. 31. What is true about post method? A. The submitted form data is not shown in the URL. B. No size limitations, and can be used to send large amounts of data. C. Form submissions with post cannot be bookmarked. D. All of these. 32. Which attribute specifies whether a form should have autocomplete on or off? A. Autocomplete. B. Self-complete. C. On-off complete. D. None of these. 33. Which HTML form attribute is a Boolean attribute? A. Validate. B. Novalidate. C. Both A and B. D. None of these. 34. Which attribute specifies the relationship between a linked resource and the current document? A. Target. B. Rel. C. Ref. D. None of these. 35. Which tag specifies a list of predefined options for input controls? A. Data list. B. Input. C. Opt group. D. All of these.
Kindly like, share and subscribe to Commission Corner for more general knowledge and commission exams oriented series and current affairs. It takes a lot of efforts, make it worth by helping us grow. Thank you.